Hello everyone, my name is RagingRaptor and I welcome you to a new World of Tanks preview video, and today we are going to have a look at the T77. And yes, I know I am a day late. I'm sorry for that, but I hope you can understand why this exactly is, because this was my week right now. I had a presentation on Tuesday, a 4-hour-long exam on Wednesday, a 2-hour-long exam on Thursday, and another 4-hour exam on Friday. And it was finished at around 1 o'clock, and now it is 16:30 or 4:30 in the afternoon, and now I'm finally back at it again with doing videos. Now, because this was my last exam today, question for you guys. What do you want to see as content from me? Because now I have a lot of time to do videos and stuff and experiment. So let me know in the comment section below what you think. Where meanwhile, I am going to talk about the T77. The T77 basically is a T54E1 on tier 8. Or basically it is a T57 heavy tank on tier 8 as a medium tank, a little bit adjusted. It's very interesting because as far as I know, this was basically a T57 heavy tank concept when it was first introduced. So now let's have a look at its firepower. And the most notable thing is that it is a 120mm gun, meaning that it has overmatch on everything above 90mm, or everything which is 30mm thick. And it has a 360 alpha, so no 390 or no 400 alpha, which you usually know from a 120mm gun, but that's still 1080 burst damage in 4 seconds, because you have a reload time of 2 seconds. I don't know what that was right now. So meaning that in the end, if you have 3 rounds in your magazine, which you can see right here, you only basically need 4 seconds to pump out 1080 damage. Sure, this is not enough to kill anyone, but in 4 seconds doing 1k damage, that is a lot. Penetration wise, 215mm of standard penetration, that is pretty decent with APCR rounds. 270 heat penetration, that is very comfortable to use. And well, the reload time, however, is rather long, 38 seconds. For example, when you want to compare it to something like the T69, he has 27 seconds. The Lorraine, which has 4 rounds at 300 damage, also so a burst of 1200 damage, has 36 seconds reload. And the Progetto, well, I just put it here because the Progetto is known to be the best tier 8 medium tank, but we can't really compare it to the Progetto because it's simply busted in that sense. So yeah, the DPM is actually the worst one of the T69 and the Lorraine 40T with just 1602, which is still okay, because I was thinking when I first saw the stats, man, that thing will be totally busted. But the DPM is very, very poor, and it will most likely lead to people having to use their brain, or like better players performing much better in the T77 as they know how to play around a bad DPM but a very good burst damage. So this tank basically is a very much different case compared to what we have with the T57 Heavy, which has a great clip and a great DPM. This one right here, great clip but garbage DPM. That's what I can say about it. When it comes to the accuracy, we have 2.3 seconds aim time, which is not as fast as the Progetto, but it's fairly fast when you compare it to something like the T69 or the Lorraine 40T. The accuracy of 0.37 is also pretty decent compared to the T69 and Lorraine 40T, and that is totally fine. Accuracy on the move is 0.22, which is equal to the T69, and turret rotation is 0.12, which is also fairly good, and it's much better than what the T69 has. Now, that is something which is very interesting. Normally, I'm not talking about the after shooting accuracy of 4.5 for the T77, but here it is important because basically every single other autoloader has 4 or 3.5. So the T77 has a huge bloom after he shoots, meaning that you will not be able to properly use your clip on distances. Even though 0.37 accuracy is good, And 2.3 seconds aim time is good, but the aftershot accuracy of 4.5 is immense and means that you will most likely have a big issue actually using your 1000 damage burst on distance. So I guess that is one way Wargaming wants to balance the T77. Gun depression of -8 degrees. I take it. It's a very good value. Sure, it's not 9 or 10 degrees, but 8 degrees for a turret like this, for an oscillating turret, that is fine. I take it. That's very, very good. 15 degrees of gun elevation, also still very good for an oscillating turret, and we can totally work with that. And 36 rounds, and that's okay. Could be a little bit more, but you can work with that. These are 12 clips basically. So in theory, you can take 6 and 6 AP clips and 6 APCR clips, or 6.51 if you really want that HE clip, because 60 millimeters penetration, 460 alpha, that's a pretty good HE round. Let's talk about mobility. And here, obviously, the T77 is not going to get any medal. But, and that is very important, it's actually not that bad. 38 kph top speed and 18 kph reverse speed. Obviously, this is going to be bad compared to the C69, the 40T, and the Prosciutto. But the 16.3 HP per ton ratio is actually better than what the T69 has. So the mobility will be slightly worse than what the T69 has, because you can see the terrain resistances are worse with 1.2, 1.3, and 2.4. Comparable only to the T69, which is slightly better. So this advantage of power to weight ratio of 16.3 versus 15.9 will be overgone. But it's not that bad. Like, it's really not that bad. The biggest issue might be the hull traverse speed of 33 degrees per second, because the turret traverse of 38, which we see right here, 38, that's totally fine. It's comparable to what the other guys have, and it's actually in the top notch. So mobility-wise, it's not the best, but it's not that bad either. So it is on par with the T69, just slightly worse. And lastly, we have the survivability. And here it gets interesting. The T77 apparently has an M48 pattern hull, but it will be a weakened hull. It has 120 millimeters of upper front plate armor, most likely, or around the lip, 76 side armor, and 35 on the rear. The turret, however, with 152 might be pretty bouncy. 70 millimeters on the side and 50 on the rear, it's all fine. And 380 meters of view range, you can work with that. Sure, it's not the 400 of the T69, but with a good crew, with rations, with optics, and with vents, you will get, no worries, 460 meters of view range. So now we are standing at a conclusion to this vehicle. The first time I saw the tank, I was like, that is literally a T57 heavy being tuned to be a tier 8 with the feeling of the old T54E1. But on a second glance, it's just the looks. It looks like a very interesting vehicle. It is definitely a support medium. A medium which can either go the medium flank, but also the heavy tank flank. Armor-wise, I don't think it will be best, but still, sure, you might be able to bounce something on the turret, because if it is homogeneous, 152 millimeters, that is pretty good. That might be pretty good. And with 8 degrees of gun depression, you can work very well. You can see it is not the same turret as the T57 Heavy. And the T57 Heavy turret is actually quite bouncy, or quite trollish rather. So you can work with that turret nevertheless. And I have to say that my feeling as a player, I'm very much looking forward to this tank. It looks interesting, it looks fairly unique with its 3-shot autoloader and a really strong DPM burst, but very bad DPM. It looks fairly interesting with its soft stats and with mobility and maybe armor, but I'm not sure if it is OP or not. I'm right now considering to say that this tank most likely will be okay to good, but sure, 1080 burst is insane. And I'm already somebody which says the Burrasque DPM or the Burrasque burst of 720 is too much with its mobility. But don't forget, the Burrasque is small. This might be big, you know? So it is hard to tell if this tank will be OP or not. I think here in this tank, it will be very, very important to know, or very, very important for the player to know what they are doing. It is an interesting tank. It is a very interesting tank when it comes to the stats. And it looks cool. Not gonna lie, it looks cool. It's the T57 heavy on tier 8 from the looks of it. But stats-wise, I have to say, I'm fairly confident that it might not be too much. It is hard to judge about the burst. The burst is insane. So maybe, and that is just me also quoting somebody which wrote it on my YouTube community post. Maybe Wargaming should transfer a little bit of the reload time to the clip time. So for example, right now for the full burst, you need 4 seconds to empty your clip basically. Why not change that to 5 seconds and instead take like 1 second away of the reload time to make it more balanced? But obviously you might say, but that's not in the history or like in the line of the American tanks, which is understandable. Like in the end, you could say that this is how America should be, you know? Americans have only 2 seconds reload, interclip reload, and they should be all about burst. And one thing, we do not know if this is going to be a premium or not. So there may or may not be chances that this might be a replacement or an alternative version or option for the T69. However, the issue is if it would be a tank where it is to replace the T69, it would need to have four rounds and not 3. Because then it would work in the Wargaming's scheme of it has to be same throughout the tiers. So my biggest guess is that this will most likely be a premium. The first American Autoloader premium in higher tiers on tier 8. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. And as always, let's jump on to the traditional last part of the section of this video. And it's a feedback. Did you like today's video? If so, let me know in the comment section below. If there is anything I can do better, let me know. About the T42, you will most likely see this video tomorrow because I will most likely be a little bit burned out today as I had a 4-hour exam. I did do this video as well as the German video, and I do want to try and rebuild my PC because again, this thing right here, this Ryzen, this 3900X Ryzen PC as CPU is now laying around for around 1.5 months, and I really want to use it, you know, I really want to build it in. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Thank you so much for watching. If you decided to take it this long into the video, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and if you did, you are an awesome person. Thank you so much, as always, good luck on the battlefield, and I see you later.